Welcome to the Drawing Board. I'm your host and in-house artist, Erin Leffler. If you're not familiar with the Drawing Board, here's a quick recap of what happens on the show. Each episode of the Drawing Board, I invite a guest from the comics and entertainment industry, and we learn a little bit more about what they do. And while we learn about what they do, I'm also drawing them. Pretty fun, right? Well, I am really excited to introduce y'all to my guest today because she is absolutely incredible. A lot of people are familiar with her work, so I'm pretty sure y'all will know who she is. Known for her roles playing a very fun Barbie in Toy Story, a little girl known as Thumbelina, and also a little mermaid named Ariel. She has done so many iconic roles throughout the years. Please welcome my guest, Jodi Benson. Hi, Jodi.
Hey! Hi, Erin. How are you?
Good. How are you?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me today.
So for the kids who may not know what you do, you want to give us a little overview of what you do?
Absolutely. Well, I was on Broadway for many years doing Broadway musicals. I was part of a wonderful show called Crazy for You for almost 4 years. And our show was magical, the Gershwin music, and it won the Tony Award for Best Musical. And I had a nomination for Best Actress, which was a huge, lovely, lovely gift. And then I started working with the Walt Disney Company right after a Broadway show called Smile with Howard Ashman and Marvin Hamlish. And I sang a song called Disneyland that was written for my character. And lo and behold, about a year later, I was voiced and cast as Ariel, the Little Mermaid for the Walt Disney Company. So I've been a full-time Disney cast member now for nearly 34 years. And it's been a great ride, a great journey, and really, really love getting to be part of all the characters that I get to do as far as voiceover. So I'm very blessed.
That's amazing. And I love that you started out on Broadway. I haven't had a lot of people on who have done two different avenues like that. So that's really cool.
It is fun. It is fun. They're all really, really, rewarding and exciting, and they're very different. But I do get to enjoy being part of all of these different facets of the entertainment industry.
I love it. Now I have to ask, did you go to school to be in theater and in music?
I did. I went to Millikan University in Southern Illinois, Decatur, Illinois, which I'm from Illinois. I needed to stay in state, and that particular year they started their BFA musical theater program. I went for about a year and a quarter, and then I was cast in a show for a non-equity national tour. And then I didn't go back to college until 10 years later when I was doing Crazy for You on Broadway. I went back to school online, and then for my 1-week vacation, I went back on campus and I walked and I graduated 10 years later, and so it was really fun.
Wow, what an amazing journey. That's really cool. And I love that you brought up that you actually took a break from it because I haven't really had anybody mention that. So it's totally okay to take a break from schooling if you feel the need to.
Yeah, it was the right time for me because I had been cast in this wonderful, wonderful opportunity. The leading lady of this Broadway review had broken her ankle. And so they called me up in, I think it was March to say, hey, can you start in about 2 weeks? So I kind of shoved all my finals and finished all my schooling. I was doing a show at the time on campus, closed the show, and the next day I moved to Los Angeles. So it was crazy, but it was really fun.
That's amazing. Now, I love getting to ask this because a lot of times as artists in any way, we have a lot of people who influence our work that we just absolutely love what they've done. Was there anyone for you, whether when you were growing up or first beginning in your career, that just inspires how you acted and how you performed?
Well, I think as far as growing up, the music that I loved to listen to on my own in my room and kind of play my 6-string guitar to was Barbra Streisand. So I absolutely loved her voice. I loved her work. I loved her ability to tell stories. I loved her phrasing and the way she would breathe. And so I just kind of studied her and imitated her as a girl. And so she was a huge influence for me as far as music.
Wow, what an amazing influence. She was absolutely incredible in everything that she did. So I don't
Yes, yes, yes. Yes, she is amazing.
So this is a question I love getting to ask because a lot of times when I'm guesting at Comic-Con, I have kids come up to me, and it's made for them to believe with social media and entertainment that the only way to get popular, the only way to be good at your craft is to only do your job 24/7. So this is the part where I get to talk with my guests about hobbies and how important they are to have outside your job. So do you have any hobbies or anything that you find you love to do?
Well, I really love spending time with my family, and one of the ways that was quite an incredible journey was being a homeschool mom. So I've had the wonderful gift, along with my husband, of homeschooling our kids from pre-K all the way through 12th grade. Now, it's not a hobby necessarily, but it was really, really a privilege and wonderful to kind of blend that in with our lifestyle as far as the entertainment industry and travel. That way the kids could travel with us wherever I went for work. And the experiences that we've had as a family, I'll treasure forever. That time could really savor that. And that was huge, huge for us. So, and as a family, we love to snow ski, and we love to go bowling, and we really love to play games. So all kinds of games, rummy cubes, sequence, bananagrams, Yahtzee, you name it, we play it. I think we have almost every game in our house here. So we're a big, big game playing family.
Love it. Do you think that it's important for kids to have hobbies outside of stuff that they may be interested in doing work-wise?
Absolutely, absolutely. To have a well-rounded kid is to have a really healthy and emotionally stable child. I think having all those pieces of the puzzle of what makes us is really, really important. So for our kids, it was family time, friend time, whether it was sports, whether it was the arts, music, playing piano, or just old-fashioned play of grabbing a board game and sitting down with friends. We really wanted to be able to impress upon them the importance of all aspects of their growth, not just academics or not just sports or whatever that passion is. And obviously, when you expose a child to all of these different things, they're going to gravitate towards one or two of them special in a unique way. So both of our kids were serious, fun-loving soccer players, and we traveled all over for them to play competitive soccer, which was really fun. Sometimes dad this way with the child, me with another child, and then we'd switch on the following weekend. But we made it work, and those are really, really great memories that we have.
That is so awesome. I love how oriented you are with your family, because I feel like that's such an important thing to have such a nice support system, loving family behind you when you do these things.
Well, it's important, we wanted the kids to know that we believed in them and supported them, and they could experiment and try all these different things. And when we take our agenda out of the way, then each child can start to develop on their own and become their own individual, and not just kind of, living through us. So we really enjoyed that. And I think homeschooling gave us that opportunity to spend more time with them, to get to know them as people. And, we really love our kids. We really treasure our time with our kids, but also we really enjoy being with our kids. They're amazing people. Now they're 19 and 21, and I just love hanging out with them. I learn so much from them. And with everything going on in our world right now, as we are, politically in a shift, and hopefully prayerfully shifting towards loving one another and accepting one another. And through this pandemic, I've learned so much from my kids, watching them be so incredibly loving and kind and respectful of others, while they're learning to establish their own voice, and supporting them as they gain their own voice as young adults has been really exciting.
That's amazing. And I love how you talk about your kids. You can definitely tell through your social media and anytime you talk about them how much you love them. So that's wonderful.
Yeah, they're just really great people to be around. I like to hang out with them. They just really make me a better person. And when you spend time with somebody and you step away from them, you should feel encouraged and built up and stronger, and not beaten up or judged or criticized. And both of my kids love others unconditionally. And I really love that about them. And they teach me. They teach me every day.
I think that's such an important lesson to what you just said about loving each other unconditionally. I'm glad that you said that. That's a very important thing, especially
It
outside
is.
of work and with work. That it doesn't
Hmm.
matter how different we are from one another. We do need to love each other.
Right. And we can find ways to respect one another and agree to disagree respectfully.
Yeah.
And I see that in them. They are all inclusive, and I love that. And I think with homeschooling, traveling the world, and for the opportunity for them to meet people of all age ranges, they can hang out with babies, they love toddlers, but then they absolutely love their grandmother who's 90. My mom is 90. And it's nice to see that intergenerational connection where there's not like a clique of, I can only hang out with people that are like me or my age or like what I like. I think that's really important for our young people today, to be able to kind of cross all those barriers and all those lines to be able to love and respect one another.
Absolutely. Now, this is a question I'd love to hear you talk about because this is something that a lot of creatives go through, especially within the industry of entertainment. There's a lot of competition out there, whether it's going up for a job, whether it's on social media, people
Right.
get other people, it's kind of challenging. You find that it's maybe not so good to be competitive, or should competition be a solid thing to get you where you are in your career path?
Well, I probably have a different viewpoint than most in our industry. So I'm a very out of the box person. So, you won't be shocked when you probably hear my answer. But I don't really operate in that way. I mean, for me as a person of faith, I feel that God has really directed every single project that I am to be a part of, and every single project I'm not supposed to be a part of, and that project belongs to someone else for that experience. Because it's not for me, it's not about the job, it's about the relationships. It's about the relationships within the project, before the project, and after the project, even decades after a project. And so I try to look at it from a bigger scope of a perspective. So competition for me, I hate to say it, but it's non-existent. For me, I want to do my best, share my gifts with excellence, and that's what I can do. And then I put it out there, and if it's meant to be, it's meant to be. If it's not, then it's meant to be. And that has given me tremendous peace. So, and it also helps you to, again, build one another up, deem one another more important than myself, encourage one another. So in my stage and age of life right now, I'm not necessarily competing with people for other types of positions like I was probably in my 20s and 30s. But even then, I had that inner peace to know that if I'm supposed to be part of a project or an experience, I will be. Because there have been times I've walked into an audition and I stunk up the room, I mean, I've been absolutely horrible. Walk out and go, oh, well, just one of those days, just didn't have it together, just stunk up the room completely. And, a day later you get the call saying you got the job and you're like, really? I mean, did you hear me? Because I was horrible. Then there's those times that you come out of a room and you're like, oh my gosh, that was the best way that I could have ever expressed the gifts that I have. I feel really, really good that I pursued excellence at that audition. I did my absolute best. No big mistakes. Yes. And then you get the call, thank you so much, but you didn't get it. So after that, I realized, you know what? It's not really in my hands. I'm not in control here. So why don't I just go and have a great time and do my best? But you're human and you make mistakes. Yeah. And your voice is an instrument. And some days it's great and some days it's not, Some days you're just like, oh my goodness. I mean, I can't hit any of these notes right. I mean, this just sounds horrible. But there is the beautiful element of live theater and the beautiful element of a live vocal instrument that this is part of your body and you can't always control it. The weather, what you ate, did you sleep? Did you cry? Did you do this? Anything affects these vocal cords, you know. So once I kind of wrapped my mind around the fact that I am not in control, that was very freeing for me. It brought more joy, the joy of just being able to throw it out there and do your best with excellence.
Absolutely. And I love that. Personally, from my perspective, I'm the same way. I don't think competition really has a place because everyone can, you know, there's room for everyone to do.
Yes.
I love the way that you put that.
Yeah, there's room for everybody to shine, you know, and there's the time and the place for each person. And that's exciting that you can build other people up. Listen, there's thousands of girls that could be Ariel. Thousands that can do it. Thousands that can do it now. But it was my ministry. It's been my ministry for 34 years. God appointed me to be Ariel. For some reason, it's supposed to be the project that he has used in my life in a really huge and beautiful way.
Oh, that's beautiful. I love that you feel so strongly about that because that's always such an important thing. I find when it's important to somebody else, it's always more important when I hear it. Now, along with competition, something else that kind of goes hand in hand with it is you get a lot of rejection. Whether going up for roles, going up for jobs, it can be really tough.
Right. Well, you know, pretty much going into the industry, and this is what I tell young people when I chat with them and do master classes or travel, is that it's 99 no's to 1 yes, or even more than that, 99% no, let's say. And I think we have to know that going into it. We're not doing it for the approval or the disapproval. We're doing it because we have been created to share these gifts. And if we don't share these gifts, we're going to explode. Yeah. We don't do it for the money. We don't do it for the stability. We don't do it for the weekly paycheck. We don't do it for a plan and a schedule. Because just like today, the phone rings and whoop, life changes 180 degrees. So if someone is pursuing this industry for money, stability, fame, fortune, regular paycheck, they might need to rethink. They need to rethink that because those aren't going to make you happy. And it needs to be that you have these gifts and you got to share them. And you share them with excellence and with a heart to give it as a gift and not expect anything in return. So that mindset, I think, is very, very important because otherwise there's going to be tremendous regret and tremendous disappointment. And I think that when that happens is when I encourage people, really take a look at your skill set. Take a look at the gifts that you have. Where can you best use them? Because there's that perfect circle of being able to have a purpose, have your natural gift and talent set, and be able to support yourself. So when you take those 3 circles and you find that magic dot in the middle with whatever it is in your life, then you figured it out. Then you figured it out. And that's where it's at. That's the huge blessing, is being able to have the purpose, being gifted with that skill set naturally. You really can't learn how to sing. I know that's going to sound really strange. You can't learn how to sing. It's a natural gift that you've been given with, and you can coach it, you can train it, you can extend it, you can expand it. But to actually teach and say, I'm going to learn how to sing, you have to kind of come out of the womb with that natural gift that God's given you.
Yeah. Now, this is something I would love to ask because I haven't had many who have done multiple avenues of acting like you have. Do you ever find that there was a challenge switching from Broadway theatrical acting into voice acting?
Yes. Absolutely. Watch the Howard documentary and you can see me fail miserably because I kept singing too much. I kept singing like I was in a Broadway theater at the La Fontaine with 1,500 people or 1,200 people. And I'm now behind a microphone, you know, this far away, and you've got Howard Ashman telling me, stop singing. Don't sing so much. You're singing too much. Just talk. Talk on pitch. And it was very hard for me. Very, very hard for me. Very frustrating for me to have all that out there and then pulling it all back and putting the brakes on. Very difficult for me. And I had to learn because I'd never been behind a microphone before. I didn't know what the heck I was doing. So I had him, the expert, being able to coach and talk and train and mentor me through how to make that fine-tuning distinction between a full-fledged onstage performance with perfect diction and projection into a speak-sing, don't really hit the pitch perfectly, please don't sing it, just tell the story, because the mic, of course, is catching every nuance, including your intake of a breath. That's how sensitive it was. So yes, it was very challenging for me. Very rewarding, but very, very difficult.
And what a good teacher Howard was, too, because he was
Yes.
a legend in what he did.
Yes, he was a perfectionist, so I didn't have to be, because I was a perfectionist as well. But you didn't need two of us there. So he drove the ship. I just went along for the ride, and I did what I was told and loved it. And, you know, would beg him to give me line readings because his recording of Part of Your World was absolutely perfect. So I said, we don't need to change anything. I'm just going to do what you've already done. That's going to work. I don't need to be individual and create something and bring my own take to it. We don't need that. You've already got Ariel. You've got her down pat. She's good. Let's stick with this.
I love that. Now, you've gotten to work with Disney on several projects, which is pretty
Right.
cool outside of Broadway. You've done the voice of Barbie in Toy Story, which there have been so many kids who are now adults who grew up with that. You have
Yeah.
Little Mermaid, which is the same way. So many kids who are now adults, and now they're showing it to their kids.
Right.
What's it like knowing that your work, what you did, touched and affected so many kids around the world, and now they're passing it on to their kids?
Right. Yes, we are, Erin, on our 4th generation with the Little Mermaid, and it's beautiful. It's a legacy. At times, it's overwhelming for me to kind of take that all in, the impact of 4 generations and the impact of what triggers each person that comes forward to say hello to me, to tell me their story, because I want to hear their story. And they remember where they were. They remember who they were sitting with. They remember the relationship of the people with them. Sometimes that memory that is triggered is joyful, and sometimes it's not. And it's a privilege to be a very small part of someone's story of their life. And I take it very seriously, my level of responsibility that comes with representing the company or representing the film or representing the character, because it is so intimately connected to each person's story, whether they're a great-grandparent, grandparent, parent, or the child. It's really unbelievable. So the legacy of being able to share Ariel through all of these years is unfathomable. It's hard for me to put it into words how it makes me feel when I meet people and hear their story. I just feel grateful. I feel humble. I'm humbled by the fact that I do get to have this sort of a sneak peek into someone's life story. It's very personal, and they're kind to sort of let me in this beautiful way.
That is amazing, and I love the way that you worded that. That was absolutely beautiful. I have to bring up this because you just mentioned it, that it's a humbling thing. A lot of people in the industry nowadays, it is a bit harder to maintain humility, especially once you reach a certain point. How important do you think it is for kids to know that it's a good thing to maintain that humility, even if you do get to a good milestone?
Yes, humility is an interesting thing because I think it can be masked and sort of falsely created. I'm a pretty intuitive person, so I can read when someone is fake and not being authentic. And I would imagine through the years I've been criticized for maybe in their interpretation of that I'm falsely humble. But for me, I know that, I know my heart. And my heart is a heart of thankfulness and feeling grateful. And it has to be something authentic and true that comes from your heart. You really can't fake being humble. And there's a difference between being humble and being a victim, or being humble and tearing yourself up, beating yourself down. There's a difference between that.
Yes.
That's why I think humility is something so unique that maybe this generation doesn't quite understand, if that makes sense.
Oh,
Yeah, I think it is. It's very tricky. And we live in a world where we see on social media and in the news and TV and a radio, we can see how people present themselves in whatever way they want.
Yeah.
Their perfect life, or whatever that is. We know that's not true. Behind every closed door, there's a story, right? There's a story, and there's some tough stuff. We are human, and we got a lot of stuff going on. We're very complicated. So I think it's a hard thing for children to understand and to learn, but as parents, as mentors, if we can live in a spirit of thankfulness and being grateful, and again, building others up, not tearing them down, I think we have that ability in our heart to learn what true humility is all about.
Absolutely. And the way that you said that, I think is very important. It's something that I think is lacking nowadays, the concept of what humility is. That I think that's a great thing, the way that you said that. Thank you.
Well, I'm learning and growing, I'm a student of life every day, just like everybody else.
That's the best we can do. Always learning is a great thing.
Right.
On track with learning, we learn so many things throughout our career, whether it's something that was a hard lesson or just a small little adjustment we had to make. We wish, though, sometimes that we knew these things when we started out, so it would have made it a little bit easier on us.
Right.
Is there
Right.
anything that you can think of that you wish you would have known when you started out?
I think one of the things I like to share with younger people of a mistake that I've learned about myself is to let go of perfectionism. And I learned that lesson through Howard Ashman with The Little Mermaid. When we think that we're in control to try to make everything absolutely perfect, and of course that's not possible, then comes tremendous frustration and disappointment. And we start wearing on ourselves more than we can handle, more than we were meant to handle. For me, as a person of faith, I had a tendency to step in God's shoes to try to be God, to direct and forge ahead and manipulate and push and shove in ways that was so counterproductive to a life of joy and a life of peace. And I really went through that hardship of learning how to let go. That was huge for me. And once that happened, joy and peace and freedom flooded my heart and flooded my life. And that's a lesson that I would encourage other young people, especially, in the entertainment industry, where we think we're in control of everything and we think we can manipulate something. We think that we can make things happen, and ultimately we can't. So rather than living in that place of disgust or disappointment, frustration, rejection, feeling less than, all that does is kind of tear us up. And I think learning that lesson for me has been very, very freeing.
That's a great lesson. I'm so glad that you talked about that because that's something that a lot of creatives struggle with. We all want to make sure our work looks absolutely perfect, sounds absolutely perfect, but we forget that we're not perfect, so it's not
Right.
that way.
Yeah, we're messy. We're very messy people. But in that beautiful mess comes what makes us unique and individual. And you don't want to gloss that over and make that perfect, because you kind of take away that individuality and the things that make us us.
Now, you've had such an amazing career. You've done so many different forms of acting. You've gotten to go and guest at Comic-Cons and talk and share your stories and everything. Is there any story or any lesson from your amazing career that you just remember and sticks out in your brain like, that was such a cool moment?
So many amazing experiences of meeting people through the last 40 plus years of being in this industry. It's the contact with people. It's the relationship. It's the conversations. Those are the things that are most magical to me. Yes, the jobs, yes, the experience, yes, the end product, whether it's a show or an album or a symphony concert or an animated feature film or an animated TV series. All of those things are wonderful that build a resume, but a resume is not representative of the quality of life experiences that I've had over the last 40 plus years. It's the relationships, it's the people before the project, during the project, after the project, and decades after a project. It's those moments of connection with people that I treasure the most and so grateful for. Yeah, that's the part that has made everything that I've been a part of so extra fulfilling and just magical. People are flooding and faces are flooding through my mind as I'm talking to you right now. So I'm overwhelmed with the fact that it's been such a privilege to get to make these heart connections with people, even if it's for 3 minutes or 5 minutes. They've left an imprint on my heart that has changed me forever. And again, they're impacted by meeting me, but it's actually in reverse. I mean, it's actually a mutually exclusive situation where we are connecting with each other, and I'm learning and I'm growing from the connection that I made with people that I meet.
I love that. That was so beautiful. And I think that's the first time I've ever had it put that way. So thank you for that, because that was so cool.
Well, like I said, when someone asks me a question, usually there's a picture that kind of flies through my mind. And when you said that, just a flood of images of children, grown-ups, adults, grandparents, people from all over the world kind of just like flooded my mind as you asked me. And that's just the most wonderful thing about everything that I've been able to experience and be a part of.
That's so awesome. Now, a couple more questions for you before I'm able to show you what I was able to do over here while we were talking. Something I find a lot with any creator, we all kind of go through it at times. We feel like we're an imposter. We deal with imposter syndrome, that maybe we're not good enough to be where we are. Do you think that there's kind of like a healthy way that kids can take a step back, identify why they're feeling this way, and be able to cope with it?
Yeah, that's a really good point. I feel like, again, we're in a society right now with social media of compare and compete.
Yeah.
And that is just not healthy. So my hope and prayer for young people, children, impressionable children, is that they're having the right source of love and encouragement and truth kind of pouring into their heart, so that what comes out of them is love and patience and acceptance of others. Compare and compete is worse now than it was when I was a kid. You know, you could isolate, you could kind of avoid, you know, we didn't have cell phones and all of this. I didn't know what was going on in everyone's life. I didn't know what they were having for breakfast, lunch, or dinner. I didn't know what their house looked like. And when you have that compare and compete, you have that spirit of less than. Everything's less than. My house isn't as nice. My meals aren't as nice. I don't look as nice. Everything in that compare and compete puts you as an individual notches down below others. And that's dangerous. That's really dangerous, because then you start to have that churning of the heart that I'll never be enough. I'll never be enough. I'll never have enough. I'll never experience enough. So turning off social media and taking it in healthy doses, or hoping that people will use it for the right reason, which is to promote others or to build others up, or to, help organizations, and to, that whole self-promotion thing, that's a really uncomfortable position. That's something I'm not comfortable with, is self-promotion. So I have to make sure that when I use social media, what is my purpose? What am I trying to say with this? What am I trying to share? And again, for me as a person of faith, I want to keep turning the lens from me to thanking God for the opportunities that He's given me, thanking God for my family, very grateful for my family, very thankful for the blessings. And I do think that we're in a tricky time for young people. So my hope would be that if they have people, loved ones, family, friends, teachers, support system that can pour into them that encouragement and that love, it would make a huge difference.
It is so awesome. I love how you said that, because social media can be a good tool, but it can also have some bad effects. So I'm glad that you highlighted that.
Yeah.
Now,
Yeah.
you're big on a certain charity that is in your profile on social media. You are a big advocate for it. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yes, it is. You can see on my bracelet, I don't know if you can see, Smiley for Kylie. Okay, there. I think I'm showing it right. There it is. So that's our niece, Kylie, and she passed away right before her 13th birthday from pediatric cancer. And so our family is very, very much supporting the research and the development of treatments for children with pediatric types of cancer. Hers was Ewing sarcoma, which is one of the bone types of cancer. And it was tragic, and she went through a lot of pain and a lot of suffering, but she did it with such grace and dignity that it was hard to believe she was 12 years old. And we learned a lot through that experience watching her, and she's quite our hero, and how she handled this tragedy. And so we, with hope and with prayer and with funding and with support, we're hoping with the research that there will be better tools and better types of treatments for children, because unfortunately the treatment that they are using is for adults, and it's very harsh on their systems, and there are a lot of consequences and conditions that survivors have to deal with the rest of their life. So yeah, Smiley for Kylie is near and dear to our heart as an organization, and what we fully support in fundraising.
That is beautiful. I'm so sorry for that loss, but it's amazing what you guys have done with it.
Well, her family has taken the torch, and her dad works full-time for Cure, which is based here in Atlanta. And so he had left his previous job after Kylie passed away, and carried the torch, which was, we are going to try to find a cure. So he now works for Cure and is making a difference and representing Kylie.
That's amazing. And I highly suggest if any of you are watching this that want to learn more about the foundation, or if your parents want to learn more, please go online and look up Smiley for Kylie. You will not regret it. It's such a beautiful foundation.
Yes, you get to hear her story and learn all about her love and her passion for musical theater. She was incredibly talented, and we were so proud of her.
It's amazing. Now, my last question for you, this is my favorite one I get to ask. If there's a kid right now, young adult, or even adult, who's wanting to get into acting, interested in acting, any form, what's the one thing you'd like them to walk away from watching and learning?
I think it's this whole crazy industry, acting, singing, dancing. It just has to kind of come from within. It needs to be something that you kind of are born with, some of this passion and some of this skill set. And I think when you can really tune into that and how you were made and what you were given and these gifts that you were given, and then expand on them, it's really an exciting journey. It's a very, very exciting journey. And like I said, I think pursuing it for the right reasons is really important. And finding the right training, finding the right support, finding the right system of family and friends around you to rally around you is wonderful. And but when you have that, you got to just give it a try. You don't want to have regrets later on in life. Sure, it's not stable. Sure, it's not regimented and scheduled, and you never know what the year is going to look like. You may not even know what the next 30 days are going to look like, but it's a ride and it's a journey, and it's very rewarding and very exciting. If you're meant to be on that ride, you need to join in. So that would be my encouragement.
Absolutely. That was awesome. Thank you so much for sharing that. And now comes my favorite part where I get to show you. I was able to make a viewer for chatting with me. I'm going to try to get this up in the computer.
Okay, great. Now I get to see where you are on the screen, and I can't wait. Oh, how fun!
I could have done a little. There we go.
I love it, Erin. I love it. Do I get it? Do I get a copy of it? Oh, I'm so excited. That might have to be my new bio headshot for Instagram or something.
I would be so
I love it. Let me see it. Let me see it one more time.
Let me see if I can
Let me get a little closer. Oh, she's so cute. You made her so happy. Thank you.
You're such a happy person.
That is so sweet. Oh my gosh, you are so talented. And how fun is this to get to do an interview and then get a wonderful surprise at the end of it. So thank you so much for having me and for inviting me to be on your show. I really appreciate it.
So much for coming on, and thank you again to so much everyone who tuned in. Again, I'm your host and in-house artist, Erin Leffler. Catch you next time on the drawing board.
Bye-bye.
I didn't know where to cut it, so I'm like, I'm going to have to use my hands right there to tell me.
No, that is so fun.